Welcome to the replay. Those of you who will be catching this on the replay, welcome to those of you who will be tuning in live. My name is Carmen Andrea Harris of BohemianAcademics.com. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to start homeschooling without feeling overwhelmed. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if you're watching this video or if you've been tuning into this channel, chances are that you've been thinking about homeschooling, but you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Before I get into today's topic, let me introduce myself to some and reintroduce myself to others. My name is Carmen Andrea Harris. I am a homeschool consultant. I'm a language arts and literacy coach, and I'm the founder of Bohemian Academics, where we focus on homeschool, digital learning, and literacy. You can learn more about me and how I can help you on this journey by visiting my website, which is linked in the video description, bohemianacademics.com. So, as a former elementary school teacher, a homeschool mom, and an entrepreneur, I know what it's like to want the best for your kids and not know where to start. I was in this exact place in 2020 when I made the decision to homeschool both of my children traditionally. Even though I had an education background, even though I had experience teaching children, I still had overwhelm. I still had reservations about homeschooling my own children. However, with some research and with investing into some homeschool consultation and some resources and just doing my own due diligence, I decided to homeschool my children, and we have been homeschooling ever since. So the first thing that you need to know or you need to do when you are deciding to homeschool is you want to know your whys, okay? Know why you want to homeschool, know why you're going to homeschool, know why you're going to continue to homeschool. Now, it's important to know your family's reasons for homeschooling because it's going to guide your journey. Knowing your whys is going to keep you going on the days where you want to quit, because there are going to be some days that you want to quit, and on the days when you question your ability to educate your children at home. So being clear on your whys will also help you to silence the naysayers and the negative talk that you may get from friends and family, because you are probably going to get that as well. So you have to know your whys so that you can keep going no matter what. And lastly, knowing your whys will shape your mindset, your curriculum choices, and your daily approach to homeschooling. So some examples of some common whys or some common reasons why families decide to homeschool. Number one is faith-based education, okay? If you're thinking about, hey, welcome. If you're thinking about homeschooling, and especially if you feel drawn to me or a connection to me, or you've seen some of my past videos, you may be interested in faith-based education. You may be thinking, I want to homeschool because I want to integrate my faith and perhaps biblical values into my child's daily learning. Now, if you are thinking about faith-based learning, this is how it's going to shape your approach. Number one, it's going to help you to prioritize Bible study, character development, and faith-infused subjects. Also, if you are leaning more towards faith-based education, which you don't have to, this is just one example, you may want to choose a Christian or a Bible-based curriculum, okay? Thirdly, your schedules can start with prayer or devotional. And I love prayer and devotional time because it really helps you connect as a family. It really helps you to center and focus on your day. Now, I will be honest, my children are older now, so they're working more independently. So I'm not necessarily holding their hand. We don't have homeschool Bible study every single day like we used to when they were little. I'm also working from home now, so I'm trying to juggle. But these are some great reasons and some great ways that you can start your journey. And then lastly, the last way that faith-based education is going to shape your approach is that it often creates a home culture that is centered around discipleship and not just academics. Now, another reason why you may want to homeschool is personalized learning needs. As a classroom teacher, I understand wanting to teach every single child in the way they need to be taught, but also having to keep up with the demands of the career and the environment and not really being able to reach every single child the way that they need to be reached. Every child is not learning the same way. Every child is not going to come into a classroom and sit in a chair for 8 hours and just follow instructions. It doesn't mean that they're a bad child. It just means that they learn in a different way. So if you are interested in personalized learning needs, and that's one of the reasons why you're deciding to homeschool, you're probably thinking my child learns differently and needs a flexible individualized approach. How this is going to shape your homeschooling if you're focused on personalized learning needs is that number one, you can build a custom curriculum that is tailored to your child's pace, your child's interests, and your child's learning style, okay? You may use hands-on, visual, or tech-based tools over traditional workbooks, okay? You may not have a child that's going to sit down at a desk and work in a workbook all day. You may have a child that needs to get out and explore. They may be more interested in a digital curriculum or hands-on. I have two children that I'm homeschooling from home. They are two totally different individuals, two totally different learning styles. One will sit at a desk all day like she's in a traditional classroom. The other one, not so much. She needs to get up, she needs to move around, she needs to touch things. When you decide to homeschool, you can tailor your child's learning needs to their learning. Also, you can emphasize mastery over grade level expectations. So you're not held to the grade level expectations that are given in public school. You just need to make sure that your child is mastering the subjects. And then the last tip on how this will shape your approach is you can become more of a learning coach and an observer for your child. Now, the last why, the common why that I'm going to leave you with is number 3, which is the desire for family bonding and emotional wellness. If you are thinking about homeschooling because you desire family bonding and emotional wellness, you're probably thinking to yourself, I want more time with my children and I want to protect their emotional and their mental health. Now, we would have to be blind and oblivious to not see all the things that are going on in traditional classrooms, in traditional schools, with bullying, with safety, with the things that the children are even exposed to with the curriculum and what they're learning. If you are desiring to protect your children from that, or you want to make sure that they're safe emotionally and they're not being bombarded and overloaded with things that they don't need to learn about at such a young age, then this approach is probably for you, and this why is for you. So how this is going to shape your journey if you are wanting to homeschool because of family bonding and emotional wellness, you can design a slower paced day with room for play, conversations, rest, and brain break. It incorporates real life learning, field trips, and journaling. You can focus on emotional regulation, family connection, and building confidence in your child. And oftentimes when parents approach homeschooling from this view of family bonding and emotional wellness, they can typically unschool or they could do a more relaxed homeschooling style. So it's just up to the parent. Now, one of the biggest myths before you start homeschooling, because there's many different things that are going to be going through your mind. You're going to have people asking you, do you think you can do this? Are you sure? And then you're going to have to battle with the thoughts in your mind of, can I really homeschool my child? So once you get to the point and you make a decision that you are going to homeschool, one of the biggest myths that you're probably going to believe is that you need a full curriculum to begin. But that is not true. The first thing that you need before you begin is not a full curriculum. You need to make a decision in your mind and in your heart that you're going to homeschool. So if you're watching this video, you know that you've been called to homeschool your children and you're just waiting to take that first step. I want you to make a declaration and say, I am going to homeschool my children, period, no matter what. Once you do that and you make a decision, you need to learn your state's homeschool laws, okay? Once you've done that, do not overwhelm yourself with curriculums. So you're going to make a decision, number 1. Number 2, you're going to research your homeschool laws because that's a very important step. So give yourself the freedom and the flexibility to start gently. You can start homeschooling gently by reading books, by going on nature walks, or by journaling. In terms of academics, you can get your children started on a done-for-you, plug-and-play digital curriculum until you're able to figure out what type of book curriculum or what type of mixture of curriculums you're going to use. Some of the digital curriculums that I suggest and that I've personally used in the past or that we're still using are khanacademy.com, which is completely free. timeforlearning.com is not free, but it's very low cost. And then powerhomeschool.com, which is the digital curriculum that we are currently using. And I absolutely love that curriculum. It checks all the boxes for me. And we also have workbooks that I sit down with my children and we work one-on-one because I am a teacher at heart. I was a classroom teacher before. And in addition to the digital curriculum, I just like to see what my children know in terms of like paper, pencil, workbook, working out math problems, following the steps, reading comprehension, and all of that. But our main curriculum is a digital curriculum on powerhomeschool.com. So now let's talk about legal and practical basics. I mentioned a few moments ago that you need to learn your state-specific homeschool law. Every single state has a different homeschool law. When you pull up your homeschool law, every homeschool law has the same components. However, those components are different. When I talk about components, I'm talking about like the amount of days that you're required to homeschool in your state, the types of subjects that you're required to teach in your state, whether or not the teacher has to have a high school diploma, a degree, or a GED. So those are going to vary depending on the state. However, it's the same like components. So the website that I recommend for you to go to learn your state homeschool law is hslda.org/legal. Once you go to that site, you're going to select your state in the drop-down menu, and you're going to see the different components that I'm talking about. You want to make a note of those components, okay? Because knowing your state law is, number one, going to keep you compliant with the law, because nobody wants any problems with the law. And then once you have a clear picture of what you're required to do in your specific state, it's going to guide your homeschool planning and your homeschool day. So once you do all of that, you decide to homeschool. I encourage you to start with what you already have in your hands. Start with the books at home. Start by going to the library. Start by plugging into online resources so that you don't overwhelm yourself. All right. So in closing, I know that was a lot of information. In closing, just know that you don't have to have it all figured out to start homeschooling. You just need a plan and you need the right support. Now, if you're ready to start homeschooling and you want help, I personally offer 2 homeschooling options as a homeschool consultant. I offer my step-by-step digital course, which is called the Homeschool Blueprint. I also offer a one-on-one 1-hour homeschool consultation and strategy session where I take you through all the steps and all the bullet points that you need to know about homeschooling. And then we shift over into a full-on strategy session where I take you by the hand and we literally set up what your homeschool day is going to look like from day to day. Now, you can learn more about both of those options, the digital course or the one-on-one strategy session, by going on my website, bohemianacademics.com, and you can select the option that works best for you. And I'm going to link my website in the video as well. So thank you so much, those of you who are hanging out with me live. And thank you for those of you who are going to catch this on the replay. If this is of interest to you, what I'm talking about, if you're interested in homeschool, if you have a K-5 learner and you're interested in digital learning, digital tutoring, or literacy, make sure that you subscribe and turn your notifications on for new content. Also, go over to my website, bohemianacademics.com, and join my email community for exclusive content, updates, and special offers. And until next time, I am wishing you a home education journey that is filled with calm, clarity, and confidence. Peace and blessings. This is Carmen Andrea Harris of bohemianacademics.com. Peace, guys.